Thank you. But more importantly, thank you for sticking around. You know, this is truly impressive that, you know, the last one here, and there's actually people here. I thought I'd be just giving a presentation to us, but this is great. Can everyone hear me? All right. So I'm just going to get right into it. The right button here. So it's about clean water for us. The rain garden program is clean water, which is going to benefit fish, which is going to benefit shellfish. And Kitsap County is unique in that we're surrounded by salt water, and so shellfish is extremely important to our county. So this is something where I guess I'm just going to let you read this because I'm going to have to apologize. I've been having this coughing issue for the last couple weeks, so if I start throwing a coughing fit, it's because I've been coughing. But so I'm going to let you read this, and I'll explain a little bit later. So everyone about done? So again, the reason I showed this is we're non-regulatory, and that goes you know, so we're the opposite of this, and so that's just really important for us. And it's I've heard presentations earlier in the same room about you know, Whatcom Lake, working with the Whatcom Conservation District, same thing. You know, we have this like friendly or non-threatening relationship with landowners because in theory we're non-regulatory, but we're still government. So our mission statement, guiding conservation without regulation, educating by demonstration, forming partnerships to accomplish more. We dedicate ourselves to involving the community in a better farming practices, and actually it's all kind of practices now, and natural resource protection now into the future. So that's our mission statement. We actually need to update that because when I first started, it was all about farming. Now we're into low impact development. Obviously, we're into salmon streams and stuff like that. How do we get things done? Landowner cooperation. You know, it's all about us being able to work with the landowners. Interagency partnerships. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Also, multi-source funding. We're pretty blessed in that we have a really good, stable funding source, and which just allows us to get access to other money because of match and stuff. Non-regulatory. Talked about that. Technical assistance. And we actually do start to finish project development. So we can actually design something and then actually help the landowners through the process of actually installing it. These are partners. We're partners with Kitsap County, and it's a Clean Water Kitsap program. It's a division of Public Works. The partners include Health District, which I think is unique for conservation districts, and we have a tremendous working relationship with our Health District. That's kind of odd because they're very regulatory, but we work very well together on solving problems. WSU Extension, Kitsap PUD is on board now, and obviously Kitsap County Public Works. The fee that the majority of our funding comes through the Kitsap County Stormwater fee. We get a portion of that, so we don't receive any taxes. We receive a portion of that funding, so politically we're a little bit out of that, so that it makes it easy for us. It was established in 1995, and it's a great program. It's pretty much it's known nationwide. I think I've heard a few people already just walking around saying, "Yeah, you guys, your county's got it right." Then our county does have it right. It's because of great leadership. So we're going to talk about rain gardens a little bit, and something that we did in order to try to get more underground to make it easier on the landowners. I think we all know the goal of a rain garden program is for cost share is to try to get as many of these rain gardens in the ground as possible. And a big part of it, we try to concentrate on disconnecting from stormwater facilities. So we're trying to reduce the amount of water getting to the ditches, which affects the streams, affects peak flow, this slow water down. You've heard a lot of that today and yesterday probably, but it's all about slowing water down. So the program started in 2010, and I always like, this slide kind of shows the progression of how things went over the past years. 2010 was the first year. Those are those people that, they're environmentalists. They're really anxious. They're going to do it, and you can say, you ask them to put a rain garden and said, you'll actually reimburse us? So, they're that excited about putting rain gardens in. 2011, that same group. They just needed the designs, they needed to know where to put it, and they did it on their own. Then it fell off, and it's because then now we have the people that are, well, is this the right spot? How much is this going to cost me? And this is basically, some people that really want to do it, but they're procrastinating. They won't get the shovel out to start digging the hole. They won't call the contractor. And then where the arrow is, that's when we started our, Dig Day program. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, and that does kind of balloon things. There's another graph of this impervious area treated. It's pretty consistently going up. The difference between 2015 and 16 is that we had a couple less projects, a few less projects, but the impervious surface treated was, pretty close to the same. Obviously, we want to try to, keep that graph going up. Benefits and barriers to implementation. The benefits is that folks get cost share. If they're working with us, they're going to get cost share. We get we give a site visit. They'll get the technical assistance that they need, the design work. We go off of the WSU Stormwater Manual pretty much to try to, that's our guideline for designs. If we have some tougher sites, then we'll bring in some engineers. Education is huge for us because if the landowner doesn't understand why we're doing it, then what's the point? They're not going to maintain it. The property looks good. After, if it's the right kind of plants are installed, it actually it improves the property value. Some of the barriers, folks, a lot of these property owners are just old. They can't do the work. They're not interested in physical, I guess some people not interested in physical labor. They're not going to do it because I'm not going to run a shovel. Are you serious? But so that was a barrier. Didn't know what to do first. I mentioned that earlier, procrastinating. Call a contractor. It's all here. We drew a line on your lawn. It's just call a contractor, but they just couldn't do that step. And funding was a concern for several people also. And I guess I mentioned earlier, didn't understand the value. What's the functional value of it, of actually putting in a rain garden. So the Kitsap County did a survey, and they paid for this to figure out, why. Why did we see this drop off from the second year to the third year? And so they just wanted they actually sent those surveys to the people that already were in our program. Because the first year we had over 100 sign-ups for wanting to put in a rain garden, and I think we installed like 13 or 14. So why didn't these folks install? So the survey was sent out to those folks and a bunch of other people that were attending workshops. And so we want to know why. So there's going to be several slides on trying to give you answers on or what that survey said. Already kind of mentioned the participants. We had a really good response rate, which is pretty decent considering. Third of them didn't participate because they couldn't find a suitable spot. Those are the people that we did go out, and this was a bad spot. They really wanted a rain garden, but poor soils on a slope, on a shoreline, steep slope shoreline. There just wasn't a good space to install a rain garden. 1 in 10 said that the cost was a concern, and 1 in 5, didn't understand the benefit. They thought, why put one in? I don't understand the benefit. That's an education thing. And then 1 in 10 actually said that they will in the future. They actually did want to install a rain garden. So more reasons not. So we kind of went over a couple already. That just, poor location. It's not a good site. Didn't understand the benefits. Other high priorities. I think one of them is it's my lawn. Where my kid going to play soccer? That's I can imagine that's probably a good one because people love their lawns. Complicated and they just didn't understand the process. It just seemed overwhelming, and so that was definitely a barrier. And then people were concerned about maintenance. Obviously, how am I going to have to take care of this thing? More than half of the people that we surveyed, half of them that did install did it on their own. There were a bunch of people, those early folks. They went out there with a shovel. They dug their rain garden and actually dug it with a shovel, or they proactively called the contractor. We didn't have to babysit them, but those are your very proactive folks that you're going to reimburse me. You're going to give me, and that time it was $500. So you wouldn't reimburse you $500 for me putting a rain garden in. They couldn't believe it. So those are the folks that just got it done right off the bat. And then 2 and 5 actually use a contractor, and very few people use any kind of a contractor for planting because they, these folks are just going to plant them on their own. People like them. The people, when they're done, we actually have a landscape architect on board. So we're trying to pick the right plants. We actually tailor the planting plan to the landowner so that they see what they're going to get, and because it's very important that they know what this thing's going to look like in a few years. So it gives options that folks had for LID practices. The easiest and least expensive, obviously, is tree planting, soil improvements, rain barrels. We use rain barrels as try to get people interested. We actually give out free rain barrels to anyone in the county, as long as they're not in the city, because of the program funding source. But that's kind of like just an incentive for them to ask more questions and hopefully get a rain garden on their property. Options that require more effort and cost, obviously, are planter boxes, soaker trenches, rain gardens, and then tougher ones, paving, turf blocks, driveways, cisterns. So those we kind of were able to cost share all of those, but we kind of try to focus on the rain garden ones because we feel that's the best benefit for the environment. Here's kind of went over that already for options. There are people that were very interested in some paving options, especially in cisterns were farmers. Farmers and gardeners were very interested in collecting water for their gardens and even for livestock. Green roofs, we never will cost share a green roof just because of the structural concerns about that. It's just that we're not going to go there. Motivators for participation. Respondents were motivated by the concerns of the environment. So this is, once again, it's a survey. People were concerned about the environment. And I think, you send out any kind of a survey, and I think most people are going to be concerned about the environment. It's just the right thing to say. And in Kitsap County, I think being the west side, we do have pretty decent landowners in that they are concerned, and they're surrounded by water, so they see it every day, especially groundwater. There's a groundwater concern that I think I heard it before. It's like that's going to be our new gold. I heard it this morning. So groundwater is an issue. So we want to make sure that it's filtered, that anything going down is getting cleaned, and just protecting that source. More the same. Nearly all the respondents thought that filtering the pollutants before it entered the waterways was important. 80% thought that controlling runoff from their property was important. And 3 and 4 thought that replenishing drinking water was extremely important. And saving money was the least important motivator, which I kind of have a hard time believing. But we're going to find out about this one. next year because we have an interlocal agreement with the city of Bremerton on disconnecting combined sewer outflow. And so if the participant who works with us and disconnects from the CSO, their fee is gone. They're gonna eliminate their fee. So we're gonna see if money talks here, because you would think that you'd have 100% participation, but we're gonna find out. More to come on that. Just more comments from just some landowners from this survey. I'm going to try to, I'm running short on time. So it says, people like the program and they kind of like what we were doing. They're concerned. And this is more just quotes from that survey. They're satisfied with with the folks. It's very important for us that we have trained people going out there and knowledgeable folks that are pleasant to deal with landowners, because if you don't build a rapport, you're not going to go anywhere. People like the free assistance with the trench and digging. This will just get into our program where I guess I have a slide coming up pretty soon here about dig days, but we actually, we're actually going out there and actually providing more service than what's expected, and people really appreciate that. And whether you're helping dig the initial hole for the rain garden would be very helpful. That's, just get out there and do it. Just start. Just stop procrastinating, just start. Some more barriers. They can be, they're perceived to be expensive, and if it is hired out by a contractor, it can get, more expensive than what we're able to offer. They don't have a landscape designer, so they want to make sure it looks nice, and they just want help with the financing and more technical assistance. So we started dig days, and this was a big thing where I guess a big part of the presentation is removing barriers to implementation. So that's Bob out there. He's our digger, and we also are on just promoting the project through. I guess this was actually Make a Difference Day on King 5. They helped because it was a neighborhood approach. It was really important for us to concentrate in a neighborhood on all of our projects, so that we try to make a difference. We want to make a difference in the water quality, and if you spatter these things all over the county, you're not going to see a difference. If you concentrate in a specific area, you're going to see a difference. So partners, this is the Make a Difference Day. We actually dug this rain garden by hand with the Channel King 5 crew, and from that we had 3 neighbors just walking by, and they wanted rain gardens after that. So this exposure helped out a lot. Demonstration is really important for us. This is our office, and we have this rain garden's been in since 2008. And so if someone's interested in what these things are going to look like in a few years, we can actually bring them out and show them that this is what you can expect. The dig days, we actually we provide a contractor. So if someone signs up for us, and this is all Kitsap, the Clean Water Kitsap program, bless this. So it's hard to believe, but we'll actually go dig the hole. We will bring out the soil, I guess the rain garden mixed soil. We'll bring out the pipe. We'll bring out the fittings, and we'll bring out Zone 1 plants. So when we leave, the rain garden is functioning. And that's how we can get so many rain gardens in the ground, and we can do it for about like $1,000 to, our limit is $1,000 per plant, but we're buying pipe in bulk. We have a tremendous source for a rain garden mix through Kitsap County, and it just works out that we can get our costs are really low. And Bob is there. I hope Bob never dies, because when Bob dies, we're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a program problem, because he just gets it done. We also do pervious parking as part of the Dig Days program. We try to stick with smaller ones. This is actually a church. And I guess I mentioned rain barrels and cisterns. We're getting more and more interest in cisterns, just for gardening purposes and for farms. The farmers want, I guess, an alternative water source for livestock. And they wanted me to talk a little bit about operation and maintenance of these things. There was a fair amount of stuff that when I was going to other sessions about this, so it's going to be very brief about rain gardens, bioswales, soakage trenches, and permeable pavement. We actually have a guide, and if you're interested, I got a bunch of them up here. And but it pretty much what's written on there is in here, so I'm not going to waste any more time going through that. But if you want one, we have one up here. You can take one. Rain garden is not draining within 48 hours. So I guess these are a couple of things that comments that we'll get that we hear of. We don't get any complaints at all about that, and in our program, right, every once in a while. What are the problems is, do we have some kind of a depression or a high point in the bottom of the rain garden? So the rain garden may not have been, the bottom may not have been flat. The mulch may have maybe a really hard rainfall may have kind of made that mulch a little bit more impervious, where you just go break that up. And maybe the kids were running around in there and they compacted the soil. So fork that up a little bit just to try to loosen that soil. Those are things that may help improve that drainage. Persistent ponding is my biggest question were the soils appropriate? That's the very first question I will ask our staff was, did we do a test? And what did the test say? Were we infiltrating? Because that's most likely going to be a problem, because we have horrible soils in Kitsap. And is there continuous flow? Do we have continuous flow in there? I can't tell you how many people want to put rain gardens in wet areas. It's already ponding. I want to put a rain garden there. Well, that's just not a good idea, because you're just going to have a pond. You're going to have a pretty pond instead of just a pond. Bioswales, just maintain it. I guess I heard in an earlier presentation, they get the vegetation out of it. I guess you want grasses so you can mow this thing. You want to make sure that the water can get in it. And here it looks like there's a little bit of a barrier, so that silt is along the edge of the road. But you just want to make sure that the grass is mowed and maintained and everything's smooth, so you have a nice smooth sheet flow going through there instead of divots and stuff like that. Soakage trenches. When it's underground, there's as long as your gutters are kept clean and you have a good filter or some kind of a catch basin before it gets into the subsurface soakage trench, you're pretty much good, because that thing's underground. In theory, you shouldn't know it's there, and as long as you have clean material going in, it should be okay. Pervious pavement. I learned a lot about pervious pavement today, because if we have one site where it's fairgrounds and surrounded by evergreen trees, bunch of surface flow, off-site surface flow coming onto the pervious. It's like the perfect scenario on why not to do it, and so now we're going to figure out how to clean it. But I guess vacuuming is an option, I guess a good option. Pressure washing, I heard, is not that great of an option, but I think a combination of pressure washing, brushing, and vacuuming all in the same process, from what I'm hearing, will give you the best results. But that's one where I think everyone's kind of questioning at this point on. We have to figure it out. It has to be figured out, and I'm sure with the next few years it will be. Bottom line, long-term function, it depends on, was it designed correctly? And did the property owner, do they want to do it? If the property owner doesn't understand how it's supposed to function and the importance of it, they're not going to maintain it. I think that's the biggest thing, is you have to educate the folks, and hopefully they really want to do it, and they want to maintain it, because if you don't maintain it, it's not gonna function. That's it. Any questions?